When the one with the rifle gets killed, the one who is following picks up the rifle and shoots.
Welcome to the 14th episode of the Pick Up the Rifle and Shoot series, featuring my Arisaka Type 99 Last Ditch Rope Pull. The Type 99 was Japan's main infantry rifle in World War II. Its 7.7 by 58 round elevated the Japanese infantry's capability to the likes of the British 303 and proved highly effective. The Type 99 was also ahead of its time. In addition to its Mauser-based action and its unique cock-on-close bolt, it featured a chrome-lined barrel, a folding monopod, and even anti-aircraft sights. As the certain defeat of Imperial Japan loomed, resources became increasingly scarce, and the production of the Type 99 became simplified. Function ruled over form, and the infamous last-ditch Type 99 came to be. And my example is considered one of the rarest. So here she is, my Arisaka Type 99 last-ditch rope pull. I was in the market for my first Type 99 and learned a lot about the last-ditch variations from Mishako's videos. And after seeing a last ditch with a hole in the stock from an online dealer, I knew what they had. So I took a chance and made a blind purchase, and I'm glad I did. What I received is a beautiful Nagoya Series 11 last ditch rope pull. The hole in the stock is exactly what you think it's for, a rope with a tied off knot for a sling. These rope pull Type 99s are among the last ever made, and it shows the complete de-evolution of the Type 99. And it's like the last of the last ditches. I'll go over in more detail, but first let's make sure she's all clear. First up is the wood butt plate, now being held on by just 2 nails. Earlier last ditches would have 3, and it shows another simplification along with the rope pull stock. Moving up the stock, we see the bolt caulking knob, which now is just an unfinished weld instead of the decorative chrysanthemum, and it works just as well. Next is the receiver, which no longer has the dust cover rails on the sides, indicating this receiver was forged very late in the war. Also, you can see the markings of Series 11, the serial number, and Nagoya's factory symbol. On the top of the receiver, you can see the machine marks and crudeness of the metal throughout, but it's still fully functional. The chrysanthemum has been partially removed and the Type 99 marking is no longer there. The rear sight is now just a fixed peep sight, still perfectly capable, but slightly canted to the left. Moving along, the forend of the stock no longer has the finger grooves, and the rear barrel band is missing the sling swivel. I believe it fell off, but who knows. Tying the rope on works, but it does slightly interfere with the sight picture. The front lower handguard is held on loosely by a crudely welded front barrel band, which still has its bayonet lug. Also, there's no provision for a cleaning rod. On the business end, the front sight no longer has the protective ears and the blade itself appears to be staked. The barrel itself is not chrome lined, but surprisingly has very strong conventional rifling from the chamber all the way up to the clean and crisp crown. Now let's flip around to the other side. Here's another view of the stock. It is in good shape with no apparent cracks, and I like to think this finish is the original, but I'm not completely sure. Next is the bolt, and unfortunately it doesn't match the receiver, but it does match itself. Even though it's roughly made and is simplified, it works well with the rifle and I've had no major issues. On the bottom, the unfinished trigger guard shows the action screws were staked, but were not done properly as the screws were very loose. Also, the inside of the trigger guard is flat and is no longer dished inwards. And lastly, the right side of the rear barrel band is roughly made but does the job just fine. Overall, I'm very happy with my first Arisaka Type 99, and being a rare last-ditch rope pull makes it all the more special. Now my series is not just called Pick Up the Rifle, but Pick Up the Rifle and Shoot it I did. But I had challenges to overcome, and primarily that 7.7 by 58 ammunition is pretty much non-existent. So I had to learn to hand load and create my own, and other was finding components and equipment. But I got very lucky and thankful I was able to complete this episode in 2 months' time. Now let's go make some ammo. Now making 7.7 by 58 ammunition was very satisfying. Components are still available, but combining all of them was made possible by another lucky find, the rare 7.7 Japanese classic lead loader. These kits allow to hand load by using a simple hammer. Of course, I did all the brass prep and made sure everything was in spec using load data from Sierra. I worked up a light load and used the lead loader for all the shooting in this video. Here's a process of using the lead loader. First, the brass is hammered in the next size die until it's flush with the base. Then, the primer is hammered in using the primer cup. You'll know once it's seated once you hear the hammer's pitch change. The primer is inspected, make sure it's flush. Then it's placed in the decapping base. The die body goes on top. Charged around. Insert the bullet and bullet seeder on the top. And hammer away until the bullet seeder touches the top of the die. And bingo, you made a 7.7 by 58 round. Here, you can see the components and the specs of my hand loads. I created and shot a total of 184 rounds using all of 1 pound of IMR 3031 in the process. I've had no issues with my last ditch rope hold, and she fired perfectly and was surprisingly accurate for what I can do. She can definitely still do the job. I've since got a set of proper dies and now using my press to load, but man, how fun it was using the lead loader. Now let's get on with the shooting. Off to the 25-yard range. After I tested different loads using my chronograph, I settled on a lighter one and shot these 5 rounds for final confirmation. My point of aim is right below the orange dot bullseye. As you can see, my rounds were hitting about 1.3 inches high and 1.2 inches to the left from my point of aim with my chosen load. 37.3 grains of IMR 3031 with 174 grain 311 full metal jacket boat tail bullet. This load data is in fact from Sierra's manual with an expected velocity of 2100 feet per second. I averaged 2074 feet per second and the group size was very surprising, and I felt no need to develop a full power load or even try adjusting the front sight to hit the center of the target, especially for a rifle this rare. I feel it's best just to leave alone, learn where she shoots, and be thankful for the experience. Now, let's see how she does at 200 yards. My first rounds at 200 yards were not all hitting the paper. I found after reviewing my target camera, they were hitting about 14 inches high and 11 inches to the leftmost of the target backing. So, to compensate, I stacked two 200-yard NRA C targets on their backside and placed a shoot and see 12-inch circle target on the bottom right target, and proceeded to shoot 5 rounds using a 6 o'clock hold. Let's see how it went. In case you are wondering, I forgot my spotting scope that day, so I had to go downrange every time I wanted to see my hits. It was especially frustrating when I was not hitting the paper early on, but once I knew where they were going, I was confident I was able to at least complete a 10-round session. So the first 5 rounds you can see was just terrible. At 11.81 inch group after measuring. My first round didn't even hit the paper. I placed a circle around it so you can see where it hit. Well, let's load up another 5 rounds and see if we can salvage this session, as I believe 10 rounds gives the shooter the best measure of what their rifle is capable of and what they're capable of, and 5 rounds just isn't enough. As you can see, the next 5 rounds grouped a lot better, producing a 5.82 inch group. And they also hit in the same area with the 3 out of 5 rounds from the first group. And with that data, I can conclude that my Arisaka Type 99 last ditch rope hole can at least do 4.06 MOA at 200 yards with my hand loads. Shooting 10 rounds gives me an honest measurement of my capability with the ammo that I'm using. I will measure 8 out of 10 rounds, 80%, allowing 2 for shooter errors and flyers. I know I can do a lot better than 4.06 MOA, especially seeing I was able to do a 5.82 inch group. But for the first time at 200 yards, I consider this good enough, especially for a rifle like this. So there you have it. My Arisaka Type 99 last ditch rope hole. Still able to do it after all these years. Completing this episode was very challenging. Learning to hand load to shoot a very rare rifle was risky to say the least. But I'm glad I did it. I've gained a deeper appreciation for the Japanese to still produce a rifle like mine so late in the war, that is still capable to go fight to the bitter end, the last ditch of the last ditch. I have since got 2 other Type 99s to be shooters, as this Arisaka Type 99 last ditch rope hole will now be part of my permanent collection. Again, as always, thanks for watching. Till next time.